multiple headings in a pivot table. Here I have one heading in the column labels and one heading in the column rows. If you want, you can drag down other headings or fields into either column labels and column rows so that you have multiple headings. Let's say, for example, we take salesperson and we drag it into column labels. You can see that salesperson has attached itself above region. What this means is that the salesperson is the first level of grouping, and then region has been divided up inside. So here we have a subtotal called Fiona's total, and then a subtotal called Grania's total, and so on, for each one of my sales team. If I bring salesperson to below region, we can see now the subtotals are per region, because region is the first level of grouping, and then it divides it up into the second level of grouping, which is the salesperson's name. I can also do that on the row labels. So for example, I could put salesperson to below the product. So firstly, we can see that the main grouping is by product, and we see the desktop total. Then I see laptop total, so I can see my subtotals here. And then I can see it's divided up by salesperson. Whichever way you put the multiple headings, be it in rows or columns, you'll notice that you have these little minuses beside each one of the top level group. If you click on that minus, it becomes a plus, and what it means is it just collapses not to show the second level grouping. So I can collapse each of these desktops, laptops and mobiles to just show the main group, which in this case is product, and then for each of the individual products I can expand them to then show the second level of grouping, which is salesperson. In the Design tab of the Pivot Table tools, within Subtotals, Grand Totals, Report Layout and Blank Rows, you'll see that you can change the way that this is showing. So for example, if I just bring back all of the different groups, so I've got my first and second group showing, I can go in, for example, to subtotals and, for example, choose do not show subtotals, and then that takes away the desktop, laptop and mobile subtotals and just gives me a grand total. Or I can bring it back, and at this time they're showing at the bottom of each one of our groups, so that comes back in there. I can also go in and turn on or off the grand totals, and I can also, for example, choose show form in compact view, which kind of tidies it up a little bit there for me as well. So you can go in and you can turn on those different options, on or off, depending on what you want to show. And as we had with our pivot tables before, we can go in and choose the different styles, etc. from in here. So I now have three headings inside of either my row or column labels. It is possible to pull down others as well, but obviously the more that you pull down, the more complex the table becomes. So just keep an eye on the amount of subtotals that you're showing and the amount of groups you're bringing in, as the more complex it looks, maybe the less useful it becomes for when you're presenting your data.